I go into the history behind this project, let me quickly show you my plan. You see, I was originally planning on using this BTS doll. Since I'm in the middle of quite a few school finals, I thought he would be nice and quick and easy to customize. But I eventually decided that was too boring, so I quickly switched to a bigger, fully 3D printed doll. Did I really have time for this? No, not at all. As I mentioned before, I have a lot of schoolwork to do. But was this enough to stop me from trying? As you can tell, absolutely not. Let me fill you in on the background info for this project. This all started my junior year in high school. Right before winter break, I decided I wanted to print a giant, really cool Darth Maul figurine as a gift for my dad, for Christmas. Thinking that I should get a head start, I started printing a few weeks before classes ended. I thought this would be enough. Apparently not. The first time I printed, it came out pretty decent except for these unreasonably thick supports that were incredibly hard to remove. So hard that I'll have to break the figurine itself for me to remove them all. This was before I had my own printer and knew how to get around these issues, which of course, looking back, I'm seeing how all of this could have been avoided, but oh well. Not knowing what else to do, I tried printing the figurine again, this time around learning how to make the supports thinner and hopefully easy to remove. But every time I would attempt to print it again, it would mysteriously fail. I tried printing this thing like 10 times and each time failed. The last attempt though, that was the one that scarred me for life. Since I was using the school's printers with my own SD card, I put several sticky notes right under where you take the SD card out, so no one would mix it up with the school's. Put my school email on the stinking sticky note and everything. But with my luck, right before school let out, a couple days before, I go to check on the printer I was using and it's printing something green and huge. On top of the sticky note I left, which was now moved, was another note saying, "Sorry I didn't see the note, don't remove the SD card when the print is done." Now this wasn't a small frog, it was huge, and as you could guess, it would take a couple days to print. Because of this, as you can guess, the whole gift idea failed miserably. Funny enough though, my parents got me my own 3D printer that year, so a week later I made my dad a 3D printed Clone Wars drone, but I still wasn't quite satisfied. Fast forwarding to now, I decided to take on the Darth Maul project again, only this time through a different approach. All was going well. I was printing the torso, I was sitting on bed, taking a break from working on the head all day, and all of a sudden, my room goes quiet. The power went out. There was no storm, no rain, no heavy winds, but somehow, the power goes out. Twice. The print that had almost finished its 21 hours of printing was now at risk of being ruined. Spoiler alert, it was. Frustrated but not wanting to give up, I did my best to fix it by printing the remainder of the neck and sticking it on the rest of the torso with epoxy glue and epoxy sculpt. You can see that it continued to print fine after I started it up again from the ridges on the torso piece, but because I had to wait until the power stopped glitching, the printer cooled down by the time I could start again, and by then the bond between the print bed and the 3D print itself had started to weaken, hence it completely giving up only after a few minutes of continuing the print. It's okay though, I fixed it the best I could. Now I can take care of painting the torso. I of course start off by painting the base colors. It was very hot the day I painted this and my dad hadn't turned on the air conditioning yet, so to dry everything I attached the torso to a wire and swung it around in circles really fast to dry the paint. I highly recommend this method of drawing, it was quite fun. Once everything was dry, I go ahead and add some very dramatic dry brushing to the neck and waist pieces. I'm trying to mimic the Clone Wars style, so I let myself be a little heavy-handed with this part. Next, I sketch on his markings with a white watercolor pencil and then go in with a layer of black paint. All the white pencil marks were easily erased with water. I do a couple more layers of dry brushing, finish his back markings, and then hide the torso for later. You saw me sculpt a little bit of the head earlier, which here's how it turned out. I continued to challenge myself by sculpting a bit more detail in the face sculpt and giving him that signature Darth Maul frown. Once the head finished printing, I go over the printer's mistakes with epoxy sculpt and then sand everything with the dyeing energy of my nail file. Since this was given from my aunt's neighbor to my aunt and then me, I didn't have a charger for it at the time, so I used the poor file as far as it would go. It actually went on for quite a while with the battery being so low, so I was quite impressed. Yeah, I used it at a really low setting, but still. Like the torso, I sketched out his face markings with the white pencil and then go over everything with black paint. This really helped him actually look more like Darth Maul, so I was quite pleased. Like the torso, I add some dry brushing to get that painterly look. For the eyes, I need to make them look crazy and twisted, so I'm going to start off by painting the inside a bright yellow, then adding slightly darker tones toward the top. These things were entirely too small, so I decided to save the ultra-realistic BJD eyes for a different project. I'm taking the tiniest amount of resin to fill in the indent and gloss the outside. I don't want to change the size of the eye itself, so I'm being very careful not to make the resin layer too thick. They look absolutely wacky right now, but you have to trust the process. Now all that's left is to put the eyes in permanently. And this is how it turned out. I learned some new techniques of sculpting to get these legs the way I wanted, and I must say I'm quite proud with how they came out. Because I'm using a filament printer, I didn't want to go too crazy with the tiny details, but like I said, I still think they came out really nice. Like with everything else, I paint them the base color and then go crazy with the dry brushing. I did add some washes of yellow and green paint to add some interest to the paint job, again mimicking what I saw in the references. I pretty much do the same process with the rest of the leg pieces. I made the arms off camera because it's just more of the same process I use for the torso and the head. Like I mentioned at the start of this video, I didn't have a whole bunch of time, so I couldn't make the lightsaber actually glow in the dark like I wanted to, but it's not like I can't just replace it later. And with that, he's finally done. I hope you all had a wonderful May 4th, and if you like this video, like always, make sure you stay tuned for what's next because I've got some really cool stuff lined up. Check out the Instagram and the YouTube community tab so you don't miss out on behind the scenes sneak peeks and other fun announcements. See you next time!